The rain hammered against Daniel's truck windshield as he drove up the mountain road. His muscles ached from another 12-hour shift at the construction site. 3 months of double shifts had left him exhausted, but he couldn't stop now. Now when someone needed him, he pulled into his driveway and grabbed the heavy cooler from the back. Inside were 2 whole deer he'd bought from a local hunter. Expensive, but necessary. He also carried a medical kit and fresh bandages. His boots crunched on wet gravel as he walked past his small cabin toward the cave entrance hidden behind thick pine trees. Most people didn't even know the cave existed. Daniel had discovered it by accident 5 years ago while hiking. "Grandmother Ash," he called softly. "I'm back." A deep rumble echoed from within the darkness. Then a voice spoke directly into his mind, warm and ancient. "Daniel, you work too hard, little one." He smiled despite his tiredness and entered the cave. His flashlight revealed scales that shimmered like volcanic glass. The dragon was massive, easily the size of a commercial airplane. Her wings were folded against her sides, still wrapped in bandages Daniel had carefully applied over weeks of work. 3 months ago, everything had changed. Daniel had been checking his property during a thunderstorm when lightning revealed something impossible. A dragon, bleeding and broken, had crashed into the mountainside. Her scales were torn, her wings shredded, and burn marks covered her ancient body. Any sane person would have run. Daniel had lost his wife to cancer 2 years before. He knew what it looked like when someone was dying alone. He couldn't walk away. The dragon had opened one golden eye and spoken into his mind. Her name was Grandmother Ash. She was fleeing hunters who wanted her scales and bones for weapons. She had flown across star systems to escape, finally collapsing on Earth where she hoped to hide. Daniel had made a choice that night. He would help her. Now he opened the cooler and set out the deer. Grandmother Ash lowered her head and ate carefully. She had been starving when he found her. It took weeks before she could eat full meals again. "How are the wounds?" Daniel asked, approaching her left wing. "Better. Your medicine works well." He unwrapped the bandages slowly. The gashes were healing, but still looked painful. He cleaned them with antiseptic and applied fresh gauze. Grandmother Ash never complained, though he knew it must hurt. "I brought more antibiotics," he said. "The veterinarian in town thinks I'm treating a very sick horse." The dragon's mental voice carried amusement. "A horse. How small she must think your patient is." Daniel chuckled and moved to check her other injuries. A deep cut along her shoulder was nearly closed. Burn marks on her back were fading to scars. She was healing, but slowly. "Tell me about your day," Grandmother Ash said. "I enjoy your stories." As Daniel worked, he talked about the construction site and his co-workers. He mentioned that his daughter Amy would visit this weekend. He hadn't told Amy about the dragon yet. How do you explain something like this to a 16-year-old? Grandmother Ash listened to everything. She seemed fascinated by the smallest details of human life. The way people laughed at lunch, the radio playing country music, the coffee that kept everyone awake. "Your species is strange," she said thoughtfully. "You are so fragile, yet you build such complicated lives." "We do our best," Daniel replied. Finishing the last bandage, he sat down on a flat rock near her head. This had become their routine. After caring for her wounds, they would talk, sometimes for hours. "Why did you help me?" Grandmother Ash asked. It wasn't the first time she'd posed this question. "Because you needed help," Daniel said simply. "And because no one should die alone. I could have killed you. I still could. But you won't." The dragon was quiet for a long moment. Then she lowered her massive head until it rested near Daniel, close enough that he could feel the warmth radiating from her scales. "My family died 300 years ago," she said softly. "Hunters found our nesting ground. I was the only survivor. Since then, I have been alone, always moving, always hiding. I forgot what it felt like to have someone care whether I lived or died." Daniel reached out and gently touched her snout. The scales were surprisingly smooth. "You're not alone anymore," he said. Grandmother Ash closed her eyes. "No, I suppose I am not." They sat together in comfortable silence. Outside, the rain continued to fall. Daniel's body ached from exhaustion, but he didn't move. This felt important somehow. A dragon and a human, finding friendship in the strangest circumstances. I should go, Daniel finally said. Early shift tomorrow. Sleep well, little friend. He gathered his supplies and headed back to the cabin. Inside, he heated up leftover soup and ate quickly. The bills on his kitchen table had grown into a substantial pile. Double shifts barely covered the cost of feeding a dragon and keeping his own home running. His savings account was nearly empty, but when he looked out the window toward the hidden cave, he didn't regret anything. His phone buzzed. A text from Amy. Dad, coming up Friday after school. Can't wait to see you. Daniel smiled and typed back. Looking forward to it, sweetheart. He didn't notice the faint light moving across the night sky. Far above Earth's atmosphere, a sleek ship had just entered orbit. Its sensors swept across the planet's surface, searching for a very specific energy signature. Inside the ship, a screen flickered to life. A location marker appeared in the Colorado mountains. Target located, a cold voice said. Prepare for landing. Daniel fell asleep that night, unaware that danger was coming. In the cave, Grandmother Ash rested peacefully for the first time in centuries, her wounds healing, her heart no longer alone. But peace never lasts forever. Sunlight filtered through the cave entrance as Daniel spread a blanket on the stone floor. He'd brought his lunch break to share with Grandmother Ash, something he did whenever his construction site was nearby. A sandwich for him, a young elk for her. The dragon watched him with curious golden eyes. You spend your rest time with me. Your co-workers must wonder where you go. I tell them I like the quiet. Daniel unwrapped his sandwich. They think I'm antisocial. Grandmother Ash made a sound like distant thunder. He'd learned this was her version of laughter. In a way, you are. You prefer a dragon's company to your own kind. Present company is better conversation, Daniel said with a grin. Over the past weeks, Grandmother Ash had begun teaching him about the galaxy. There were hundreds of intelligent species out there, organized under something called the Council of Civilized Worlds. They had laws, trade routes, and politics just like humans did. Tell me more about the hunters, Daniel said. Why do they want dragons so badly? Grandmother Ash's mental voice grew somber. Dragon scales are nearly indestructible. Our bones can be forged into weapons that cut through any material. Our blood has properties that enhance technology. To most species, we are not people. We are resources. That's horrible. It is reality. Dragons once ruled vast territories across many worlds. We were powerful and, I admit, often cruel. We saw other species as lesser beings. When technology advanced, those species fought back. Now only a few dozen dragons remain, scattered and hiding. Daniel took a bite of his sandwich, processing this. So, they hunt you for revenge? Some do, others simply for profit. A single dragon corpse can make someone wealthy for life. She paused. Most species fear us. They teach their children that dragons are monsters from ancient times. Perhaps they are right. You're not a monster, Daniel said firmly. How can you be certain? You have known me mere weeks. Monsters don't feel guilty about their past. Monsters don't care about being alone. He met her enormous eyes. You're just someone who's been hurt and scared for a very long time. Grandmother Ash went very still. Then, slowly, she extended one massive wing and curled it partially around Daniel, creating a sheltered space. My nestlings used to sleep beneath my wings, she said quietly. I have not thought of them in decades. It hurt too much. They sat like that for a while. Daniel finished his sandwich in silence, giving her space to remember. Tell me about your mate, Grandmother, Ash finally said. You mentioned she died. Daniel pulled out his phone and showed her a photo. A smiling woman with dark hair and bright eyes. Her name was Rebecca. Cancer took her 2 years ago. Fought for 8 months, but in the end, you cared for her. Just as you care for me now. Yeah, I wasn't going to let her be alone in a hospital. Brought her home, made her comfortable, stayed with her until the end. His voice was thick. Amy was 14. Hardest thing she ever went through. Your daughter. You worry about her. All the time. She's smart, tough, but she's still just a kid. I want to give her a good life, you know? College fund, opportunities, everything her mom and I planned. Grandmother Ash understood now why Daniel worked such brutal hours, why he looked exhausted every day. He was sacrificing everything for two people, his daughter and a dragon he barely knew. "I'm a burden to you," she said. "You're a friend. Friends do not cost their companions their life savings." Daniel shrugged. Money comes and goes. Friends are harder to find. The dragon was about to respond when Daniel's phone rang. He glanced at the screen and his expression changed. "Amy? Honey, what's wrong? You're not supposed to be here until Friday." He listened, his face growing concerned. Okay. Yes, come straight here. Drive safely." He hung up and looked at Grandmother Ash with panic in his eyes. "Amy left school early. She's upset about something and driving up here right now. She'll be here in 20 minutes. Then I will hide deeper in the cave. This cave isn't that deep. She knows every inch of this property. She'll find you." Daniel ran his hands through his hair. "I can't believe I didn't plan for this. Perhaps it is time she knew. She'll be terrified. Or perhaps," Grandmother Ash said gently, "she will understand. She is your daughter. She has your compassionate heart." Daniel paced frantically. He couldn't hide a dragon the size of a building. Amy would absolutely explore if she was upset. She always did. Exactly 18 minutes later, a car engine sounded outside. Daniel positioned himself at the cave entrance, trying to look casual and probably failing miserably. Amy appeared through the trees, tears on her face. She was tall for 16, with her mother's dark hair and Daniel's stubborn jaw. "Dad, I just need to be away from everything right now. Jessica told everyone about Mom's cancer, and they won't stop giving me those awful pity looks, and I just—" She noticed his odd stance. "Why are you standing like that?" "Amy, sweetheart, I need to tell you something. Are you okay? Are you sick?" Panic filled her voice. No, nothing like that. It's just, there's someone I want you to meet." "Someone?" Amy wiped her eyes, confused. "Here." A deep rumble came from inside the cave. Amy's eyes went wide. "Dad, what was that?" Before Daniel could answer, Grandmother Ash emerged from the darkness. Her massive form filled the cave entrance, scales glinting in the afternoon sun. Amy screamed and stumbled backward. Daniel immediately stepped between them, arms outstretched. "It's okay. She won't hurt you. That's a dragon." Amy's voice was nearly a shriek. "Dad, that's an actual dragon. Her name is Grandmother Ash. I've been taking care of her." "Taking care of? Are you insane?" A gentle voice entered Amy's mind, calm and warm. "Please do not be afraid, young one. Your father has shown me great kindness." Amy's mouth opened and closed soundlessly. 5 days had passed since Amy discovered Grandmother Ash. The initial terror had faded into cautious fascination, then something deeper. Now Amy sat cross-legged near the dragon's head, reading aloud from her biology textbook. "So basically, mitochondria are like tiny power plants in every cell," Amy explained, showing Grandmother Ash a diagram. "Pretty cool, right?" "Fascinating," the dragon replied. "Human biology is remarkably complex for such small creatures." Daniel smiled from where he was preparing dinner. Amy had insisted on staying the whole weekend, claiming she needed a break from school. Really, she just wanted more time with Grandmother Ash. The dragon seemed equally pleased by the attention. "Dad, can I bring my art supplies next time?" Amy asked. "I want to sketch her scales. The way light hits them is amazing." "Sure, honey. And maybe some of Mom's old music?" Grandmother Ash should hear her singing. Daniel's chest tightened. "I'd like that." As night fell, the three of them sat together in the cave. Daniel played recordings from his phone of Rebecca singing lullabies. Grandmother Ash listened with her eyes closed, completely still. "Beautiful," she said when the last song faded. She had a gift. She sang to Amy every night when she was little, Daniel said softly. Amy leaned against her father's shoulder. Grandmother Ash extended one wing slightly, sheltering them both. It felt natural now, this strange little family. "I should tell you something," the dragon said. "I sense other ships approaching Earth. My kind leave distinctive energy traces. If I can feel them, hunters can track me." Daniel straightened. "How close?" "Days, perhaps a week. I am strong enough to fly now. I should leave before I bring danger to you both. No, Amy said immediately. We'll figure something out. Child, these hunters are ruthless. They have technology far beyond Earth's capabilities. They will kill anyone in their way. Then we'll hide you better, Amy insisted. There is nowhere to hide from their scanners. Daniel stood and walked to the cave entrance, looking out at the dark forest. His mind raced through options. They could move her, but where? Anywhere on Earth, she'd be found. They could contact authorities, but who would believe them? A light moved through the trees. Then another. Daniel's blood went cold. Amy, get behind Grandmother Ash. Now! Dad! Now! Amy scrambled back as Daniel grabbed his hunting rifle from where it leaned against the cave wall. The lights grew brighter, revealing figures in sleek armor moving through the darkness. 6 of them emerged into the clearing. They were roughly humanoid, but clearly not human. Reptilian features, scaled skin, and cold yellow eyes. They carried weapons that hummed with barely contained energy. The lead figure removed his helmet, revealing a scarred face and a cruel smile. Humans. How quaint. Step aside, primitives. We're here for the dragon. Daniel raised his rifle. This is private property. Leave. The alien laughed. I am Tross of the Viridian Hunting Guild. That dragon is worth more than your entire planet. We've tracked her across 3 star systems. Do you really think your little weapon frightens me? I think you should leave while you can. Dad, Amy whispered from behind Grandmother Ash. There are too many. Tross gestured to his companions. Kill the male. Take the female for questioning. Harvest the dragon. Before they could move, Grandmother Ash emerged from the cave. Despite her injuries, she moved with terrifying grace. She positioned herself directly over Daniel, her wings spread wide, her body forming a shield. You will not touch them. Her voice resonated in everyone's minds. Powerful and ancient, Tross seemed unconcerned. Elder Dragon, even better. Your scales alone will make us legends. And you're too weak to fight 6 armed hunters. Perhaps, but I can ensure you don't leave alive. Daniel kept his rifle trained on Tross. His heart hammered, but his hands stayed steady. He'd lost Rebecca. He'd be damned if he lost his daughter or his friend. Last chance, Tross said. Human will make you rich. Enough wealth to secure your offspring's future 1,000 times over. All you have to do is step aside. Amy appeared beside Daniel, holding a large wrench from his toolbox. We're not moving. Tross stared at them. A fragile human and a child, standing against trained hunters with primitive weapons, defending a dragon that could incinerate them with a single breath. It made no logical sense. Your species is suicidal, he said. Our species protects family, Daniel replied. The hunters raised their weapons. Grandmother Ash gathered energy in her throat, preparing to breathe fire despite her weakness. Daniel aimed at Tross's center mass. Amy gripped her wrench tighter. Then the world turned white. A massive energy pulse swept across the clearing. The Viridian weapons sparked and died. Their armor's power systems failed. Emergency lights flickered out. Tross cursed in his native language as a new ship descended from the sky. This one was larger, marked with symbols that made Grandmother Ash straighten with surprise. Galactic Rangers, she said. The ship's boarding ramp extended. A figure emerged, standing over 7 feet tall, with 4 muscular arms and deep blue skin. His uniform bore marks of high rank. Behind him, a dozen Rangers in combat armor took positions around the clearing. This is Commander Orin of the Galactic Ranger Corps. His voice was deep and carried absolute authority. By order of the Council of Civilized Worlds, you are all under arrest for illegal poaching in a protected zone. 2 Rangers moved forward and seized Tross, whose expression had shifted from confidence to fury. Protected zone? This backwater isn't even council space. As of 6 standard months ago, Earth was granted probationary protection status, Orin said. Hunting here is strictly forbidden. His eyes moved to Daniel, Amy, and Grandmother Ash. Now, someone want to explain why a human family is defending an elder dragon? Daniel lowered his rifle slowly. It's kind of a long story. I have time, Commander Orin said. Commander Oren sat on a fallen log that creaked under his weight. His four arms rested casually, but his eyes never stopped analyzing. The Viridian hunters had been loaded onto the Ranger's ship in restraints. Now Oren wanted answers. Daniel made coffee on a camping stove outside the cave. It seemed absurd to offer an alien coffee, but his mother had taught him hospitality mattered. Oren accepted the cup with one of his four hands and took a cautious sip. Interesting. Bitter but pleasant, the commander said. He looked at Daniel. Start from the beginning. Daniel told the story simply. The storm. Finding grandmother Ash dying. The decision to help. 3 months of care. Amy discovering them. The bond they'd formed. Oren listened without interrupting. His expression was difficult to read, but his eyes showed sharp intelligence. When Daniel finished, the commander turned to Amy. You knew this creature could kill you instantly. Why help your father care for her? Amy met his gaze steadily. Because she's family now, and you don't abandon family. Family. Oren repeated the word like he was tasting it. He looked at grandmother Ash. Elder Dragon, you use this word as well. Your kind are notoriously solitary. Why do you call these humans family? Grandmother Ash lowered her massive head to be closer to Daniel and Amy. Because Daniel found me dying and chose kindness. Because Amy reads to me and brings me joy. Because they stood against armed hunters knowing they would likely die. These are not the actions of strangers. These are the actions of family. One of the other rangers, a female with crystalline features, whispered to her companion. Elder dragons never bond with other species. Never. Oren raised a hand for silence. He stood and walked slowly around the clearing, examining everything. The medical supplies, the empty coolers that had held food, the careful modifications Daniel had made to the cave entrance for better airflow. You have been working double shifts, Oren observed. Your financial records show significant debt accruing. A dragon of this size must consume enormous resources. She needed help, Daniel said. The cost doesn't matter. Your dwelling is modest. Your vehicle is old, yet you spent your savings on a creature you'd never met. Oren's tone wasn't judgmental, just puzzled. Why? Daniel thought about how to explain it. My wife died 2 years ago. I couldn't save her, but I could save grandmother Ash. And no one deserves to die alone and afraid. Oren was quiet for a long moment. Then he accessed a device on his wrist. Show me the surveillance footage from the confrontation. A holographic display appeared in the air. It showed the standoff with Tross and his hunters. Daniel with his primitive rifle. Amy with a wrench. Grandmother, Ash shielding them both. The Rangers watched in silence. When it reached the part where Tross offered Daniel wealth, one of them spoke up. Commander, the human refused enough credits to transform his entire civilization's economy. I noticed, Oren said quietly. The footage continued. Daniel and Amy refusing to move. Their willingness to die protecting the dragon. The Rangers could see Tross's confusion clearly. To him, it made no sense. Pause there, Oren commanded. The image froze on Daniel's face. Scared but determined. Computer, analyze the human's physiological state. Text appeared beside the image. Subject shows elevated heart rate, adrenaline spike, muscle tension consistent with extreme fear. Yet subject maintains position. Analysis suggests subject is fully aware of likely death, but chooses to remain. He knew he would die, another ranger said with disbelief. They both did, Oren corrected, gesturing to Amy in the frozen image. A juvenile and an adult human, facing trained hunters with technology centuries beyond their understanding. They knew the outcome. They stayed anyway. The Crystalline Ranger spoke up. Commander, Earth is classified as a Class 7 death world. Gravity above, standard, extreme weather variations, dangerous predators, frequent natural disasters. Humans evolved in one of the harshest environments we've documented. Yet instead of violence, they chose protection, Oren mused. Fascinating. He dismissed the hologram and turned back to Daniel. I need to understand something. Your world is dangerous. Your species must be resilient to survive here. You have every reason to be aggressive, territorial, violent. Yet you show compassion to a creature that could destroy you. Why? Daniel poured himself more coffee, thinking. Maybe because Earth is so harsh, we learn to value life more. We know how hard it is to survive. So when we see someone struggling, we help. It's just what you do. Just what you do, Orin repeated slowly. He looked at his rangers. In my 300 years of service, I have never encountered a species like this. Sir, what are your orders? One of the rangers asked. Orin didn't answer immediately. He watched Amy gently cleaning one of Grandmother Ash's scales where a bandage had come loose. The dragon rumbled contentedly. Such a simple moment, but it carried profound implications. The council needs to know about this, he finally said. Humanity is unique. Dangerous, yes, but dangerous in a way the galaxy has never seen. They combine Death World strength with genuine compassion. Are they a threat? The Crystalline Ranger asked. To enemies, absolutely. To allies. Orin looked at Daniel. I believe they would die to protect them. He made a decision. I'm recommending Earth for accelerated council membership consideration. And I have a proposal for you, Daniel Morrison. Daniel set down his coffee cup. What kind of proposal? The council will formally contact Earth within 10 years. Your planet will need ambassadors. People who understand both human culture and galactic civilization. People who can bridge the gap between species. Orin's expression was serious. You've already proven you can form bonds across species lines. You've shown judgment under pressure. Most importantly, you understand that strength and compassion are not opposites. You want me to be an ambassador? I want you to help introduce humanity to the galaxy. And I want your daughter enrolled in the Council Youth Academy. She shows the same qualities you do. Amy's eyes went wide. Space school. The finest education in the galaxy, Orin confirmed. Full scholarship, of course. Daniel looked at Amy, then at Grandmother Ash, then back to Orin. His mind reeled with possibilities and fears. Daniel sat on the cabin's porch as dawn painted the mountains orange and gold. Commander Orin had given him 3 days to decide. 3 days to choose between his simple life and something that terrified him. Amy found him there, 2 mugs of hot chocolate in her hands. She learned to make it just like her mother used to. Can't sleep either? She asked, sitting beside him. Too much thinking. They were quiet for a while, watching the sunrise. Finally, Amy spoke. I want to go, Dad. The Academy. I want to learn about the galaxy. I know you do, but I won't go if you don't want me to. We're a team. Daniel put his arm around her shoulders. Your mom would have loved this. She always said you were meant for big things. What about you? Do you want to be an ambassador? Honestly, it scares me to death. I'm a construction worker. I fix buildings and pour concrete. What do I know about galactic politics? You know about people, Amy said. You know how to care about someone different from you. Isn't that what an ambassador does? From the cave, Grandmother Ash's voice entered their minds. May I join you? Please, Daniel called. The dragon emerged and settled near the porch, her massive form somehow graceful. She looked out at the sunrise with ancient eyes. I have been thinking as well, she said. If you accept this position, I wish to formally declare you both under my protection. What does that mean exactly? Daniel asked. Dragons remember debts. In the old times, we would take oaths to protect those who saved our lives. These oaths were considered sacred and unbreakable. She turned her golden eyes to them. I owe you my life, Daniel. And Amy, you gave me something I thought lost forever. Joy, purpose, family. You don't owe us anything, Daniel protested. I disagree. And more than debt, I choose this. If you go into the galaxy, you will need protection. My name carries weight among the old species. Even hunters think twice before challenging an elder dragon's oath. Amy looked excited. So you come with us? If you'll have me. I find I have no desire to return to solitude. Now when I could watch you grow, Amy. Now when I could stand beside you both as you show the galaxy what humanity truly is. Daniel felt his eyes sting. After Rebecca died, he thought his family would only ever be him and Amy. Now it had grown in the most impossible way. Then I guess we're doing this, he said. Commander Orin arrived that afternoon with contracts and documents. Daniel read through everything carefully, asking questions about each clause. The position came with a salary that made his head spin. Amy's education would be completely covered. They'd have housing on a council station. There's one condition I need, Daniel said. Name it. My wife is buried here. I want to visit her grave regularly. I need to know I can come back to Earth whenever I need to. Orrin nodded. Transportation will be provided. You can return as often as you wish. Daniel signed the documents. Amy practically bounced with excitement as she signed hers. Grandmother Ash placed one claw gently on the oath paper, marking it with a symbol that glowed briefly with inner fire. It's official then, Orrin said. Welcome to the Galactic Council, Ambassador Morrison. The next 2 weeks were chaotic. Daniel had to settle his affairs, sell his truck, and say goodbye to co-workers who didn't quite believe his story about a new job opportunity. Amy withdrew from school, promising to keep in touch with her friends. The hardest part was visiting Rebecca's grave. Daniel knelt in the grass and talked to her for over an hour. He told her about Grandmother Ash, about the opportunity, about Amy's excitement. He cried. He laughed. He asked if he was making the right choice. The wind rustled through the trees, and for a moment, Daniel could almost hear Rebecca's voice telling him to be brave. I'll come back and visit, he promised. And I'll make sure Amy becomes someone you be proud of, even prouder than you already would be. On departure day, Commander Orrin's ship landed in the clearing. It was sleek and beautiful, with technology that seemed like magic. Other rangers helped load their belongings, which weren't much. Daniel had learned to live simply after Rebecca died. Ready? Orrin asked. Daniel looked at the cabin he'd built with his own hands. The mountains he'd hiked for years. The life he was leaving behind. Then he looked at Amy's excited face and Grandmother Ash's proud stance. Ready, he said. The interior of the ship was incredible. Smooth walls that seemed to glow with soft light. Seats that adjusted automatically for comfort. Windows that showed the Earth falling away as they rose into space. Amy pressed her face against the glass, speechless. Even Grandmother Ash seemed impressed by the view. First time in space, Orrin asked with amusement. First time in anything like this, Daniel admitted. Where are we going exactly? Council Station Prime. It orbits a star system neutral to all major powers. You'll undergo 6 months of training there. Language lessons, cultural sensitivity, galactic law, diplomatic protocols. 6 months. Amy said, what about the academy? You'll start after your father completes basic training. But don't worry, there's a youth center on the station with students from 40 different species. You'll make friends quickly. The ship accelerated, and Earth became a blue marble in the darkness. Daniel felt a mix of fear and excitement. Everything was changing so fast. Grandmother Ash's voice entered his mind, private and warm. Breathe, little friend. Change is frightening, but you're not alone. He smiled and reached up to touch her scales. No, we're not alone anymore. The ship jumped to faster-than-light travel, and Earth disappeared. Ahead of them lay the galaxy, vast and full of possibilities. A construction worker from Colorado, his teenage daughter, and an elder dragon who had found family in the most unexpected place. Together, they would show the stars what humanity could be. The Grand Council chambers were breathtaking. A massive spherical room where hundreds of different species gathered, each in their own environmental pods suited to their needs. Some breathed methane, others needed crushing pressure or zero gravity. Technology made it all possible. Daniel stood on the human platform, wearing formal clothes that still felt uncomfortable. Beside him, Amy wore a dress uniform from the academy. Behind them, Grandmother Ash coiled protectively, her presence making many council members visibly nervous. 6 months of training had prepared Daniel for this moment, but his heart still pounded. Today, humanity's application for council membership will be voted on. Today, he would speak for his entire species. Commander Orrin stepped forward as moderator. The council recognizes Earth's petition for membership. Ambassador Morrison, you may present your case. Daniel approached the central podium. Holographic screens appeared around him, showing Earth to all the assembled species. He'd practiced this speech 100 times, but now the words felt inadequate. Members of the council, he began. I'm not a politician or a scientist. 6 months ago, I was a construction worker. I'm standing here because I made a simple choice. I chose to help someone who needed it. The screen showed footage of him finding Grandmother Ash, caring for her wounds, the growing friendship. Some council members leaned forward with interest. Others looked skeptical. Earth is harsh, Daniel continued. Our world has tried to kill us in every way possible. Storms, predators, diseases, natural disasters. Humanity survived by being tough. But we also survived by working together, by caring for each other, by refusing to leave people behind. A Viridian representative, a different one than Tross, but clearly related, stood up. The human speaks of caring, but let us remember his world bred him for violence. Earth is a Class 7 death world. Its inhabitants are dangerous by nature. They could threaten galactic peace. Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. You're right, Daniel said calmly. We are dangerous. We had to be to survive. But being capable of violence and choosing violence are different things. The screens changed, showing the confrontation with the hunters. The council watched Daniel and Amy stand against Tross, willing to die to protect Grandmother Ash. We were offered wealth beyond measure, Daniel said. Enough to change Earth's entire economy. All I had to do was step aside and let them take my friend. I refused. My 16-year-old daughter refused. Foolish sentiment, the Viridian representative sneered. You risked your offspring for a creature that could have killed you both. She's not a creature. She's family. Grandmother Ash spoke then, her voice resonating in every mind present. I'm an elder dragon. For 300 years, I was alone. I had forgotten what it meant to be cared for. This human found me dying and chose compassion over safety. His child did the same. They taught me that family is not about species or biology. It is about choice and love. The chamber went completely silent. Elder dragons were legends, rarely seen and never heard at council sessions. In my 1,000 years, Grandmother Ash continued, I have watched countless species. I have seen cruelty and kindness, wisdom and foolishness. But I have never seen a species combine strength with such deep capacity for empathy. Humans feel others' pain as their own. They cannot help but try to heal it. Orin activated another display. The council has been monitoring Earth for 6 months. I'd like to share what we've observed. The screens showed human rescue workers pulling people from collapsed buildings, doctors volunteering in disaster zones, firefighters running into burning structures, teachers in poor areas working without pay, strangers helping strangers with no expectation of reward. We've documented thousands of cases, Oren said. Humans regularly risk their lives for others, even strangers. This pattern is consistent across all their cultures. A delegate with tentacles raised a limb, but they also wage war. They have conflicts and violence. Yes, Daniel admitted. We're not perfect. We fight. We make mistakes. We have a long history of hurting each other. But we also have an equally long history of learning from those mistakes, of trying to be better. Amy stepped forward then, something she wasn't supposed to do. Daniel's heart jumped, but he let her speak. I'm 16, Amy said, her voice clear despite obvious nerves. At the academy, I've made friends with students from 40 species. We're all different. Some of my friends breathe different air. Some see different light spectrums. Some have completely different biology. But we're still friends because we choose to understand each other. She looked directly at the Viridian representative. My mom died when I was 14. It was the worst thing that ever happened to me. When I met Grandmother Ash, I saw someone else who'd lost everything. I didn't see a dragon or a different species. I saw someone who was hurting and alone. How could I not try to help? The crystalline ranger who'd been present at the mountain spoke up from the observer section. Permission to address the council. Granted, Oren said. I witnessed the confrontation firsthand. I've seen combat across 100 worlds. I've never seen anyone, especially civilians, show the kind of courage. The humans knew they would die. They stayed anyway. That's not foolishness. That's honor. The council debated for hours. Daniel and Amy sat with Grandmother Ash, waiting. Some species argued that humanity was too young, too dangerous. Others pointed to their potential, their unique qualities. Finally, Oren called for a vote. all in favor of granting Earth Probationary Council membership. Lights appeared across the chamber as members voted. Daniel held his breath. Amy gripped his hand. The motion passes, Orin announced. Earth is granted probationary membership in the Council of Civilized Worlds. Amy hugged Daniel. He felt tears running down his face. Grandmother Ash wrapped her wings around them both, creating a private moment of joy. That evening, they returned to their quarters on the station. Through the window, Earth was visible in the distance, a blue jewel among the stars. What happens now? Amy asked. Now we do the work, Daniel said. We help Earth join the galaxy. We show them what humanity can be. It's a big responsibility. Yeah, but we're not doing it alone. Grandmother Ash settled near them, her massive form taking up most of the room. No, little family. We face the future together. Daniel thought about his journey from a simple construction worker to a galactic ambassador, about finding a dying dragon and gaining a family member, about his daughter preparing to learn among the stars. Rebecca would have loved this, he said softly. She would be proud, Grandmother Ash agreed. Of both of you. The galaxy stretched before them, vast and full of possibilities. Humanity would stumble sometimes. They would make mistakes. But they would also bring something the galaxy desperately needed, proof that strength and compassion could exist together in a universe that often chose fear over friendship. One human had chosen kindness. And that choice had changed everything.